Another early exit for the Milwaukee Brewers after having a terrific season. This is becoming too common of an occurrence. Going out in 2 games after working their way to 92 wins in 2023. We'll get to that. We'll get to the clincher. So many missed opportunities. So many breaks didn't go their way. But you make your own breaks. We'll talk about all this coming up next here on this edition of Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, everybody. It's always, God, the air just goes out of the balloon when the season ends. I put this out on Twitter. The Brewers have had their season end in playoff fashion. 2008, we saw the Phillies clinch here. 2011, the Cardinals clinched here. 2018, the Dodgers clinched here. 2019, Brewers lost in Washington against the Nationals. 2020, I don't count that, but they lost in Los Angeles. 2021, the Braves clinched here. 2022, this team, the Arizona Diamondbacks, clinches here. And another playoff disappointment for the Milwaukee Brewers. You know, we were expecting big things this year, especially the way they played in August and September. And they haven't come crashing down in 2 games. But I'm telling you, like I said, they had breaks in this game. They had breaks in this series that they could have taken advantage of, and it didn't go their way. They had opportunities. There's no doubt about it. We're going to get to all that. I mean, there's so many things I could cover on that game on Wednesday night that I am just hopping mad about, just ticked off about. We'll get to all this coming up next. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Off the top, first of all, thank you, everybody, for joining me all season long and continuing on through the off season here. We're going to still be here. We're going to be producing daily shows for a while here, and the off season we'll be doing a few three or four shows a week. But you know, you found me on Google, Spotify, Apple. The audience is growing. YouTube, go to our YouTube page. Go Locked On Brewers. Search Locked On Brewers. Find me on there. Hit the subscribe button, please. Love to have you aboard. I've enjoyed reading your comments all season long. And, you know, most importantly, you know, when the Brewer season ends, I think of the great fans. I do. I think of the great Brewer fans. The 40,000 that were out there tonight. The 40,000 that were out there the night before. Have not had a World Series championship or a World Series actually in this town since 1982. Brewers have never won a championship, yet you guys continue to go out there and support this team. You watch the blog, you watch the videos, you follow us on Locked On. You guys are great fans, and this is what hurts for you guys because you go out there and continue to get kicked in the groin each and every year. But you know what? You keep coming back. You pick yourself up as a Brewer fan. You keep coming back. And someday maybe that's not going to be the case. I don't know how you do it, but the Brewers should be ultra. I was driving home on 41 tonight, and there was a billboard up already said, "Thank you, Brewer fans." I hope they really mean this because you know what? Never take the fans for granted. And the fact that, you know, the fans came out again this year, and I don't want to hear that, well, attendance might be down a little bit. Well, you know what? They still drew well at the gate. Drawing 40,000 at the gate for all the disappointments that they've had in recent years as well in the postseason. I'm for the fans. I want the fans. And I want a championship so badly for Brewer fans. And I thought this was an opportunity this year because of the pitching staff. But if you were to tell me, how's this season going to end? I said all along, whether it was on radio shows, the Bill Michaels shows, here on Locked On Brewers, their death is going to be lack of clutch hitting. And it came back Tuesday and Wednesday, both games. Similar type games. Early leads for the starters. The starters couldn't hold them. Now, it was a 3-0 lead for Corbin Burnes. You certainly think he's going to hold on to a 3-0 lead on Tuesday night. Wednesday, Freddy Peralta comes out there, 2-0 lead. They get to Zach Gallen. He throws what? 32 pitches in the first inning. Gives up 3 hits. It's the most pitches he's thrown in a first inning this season. You get him for 2 runs. And I put this tweet out. I said, don't let him settle in. Don't let him settle in. And they did. Well, there was a couple of opportunities. You know, he caught that bang, bang, double play ball right back to the mound. I believe that was the 4th inning. And he screamed. You could hear it all the way in the press box. Slammed his fist into his glove. And that looked to be a little bit of a motivator for those guys. That is a together team. I'm not saying the Brewers aren't, but that's a together team. That's a team that's grown up. Okay, I'm not slighting the Brewers here, but that's a together team. There's a lot of good things about the Arizona Diamondbacks that they got going on in their organization. Maybe this is not the year, but it could be down the road. I don't think they're going to get by the Dodgers. But we're going to talk here in the next few days. What's the plan for the Milwaukee Brewers? What is the plan? We'll get to that down the line. But this series is painful. Brewers were favored in both games. They were favored against Zach Gallen tonight. Got up to the 2-0 lead, rested on the 2-0 lead like the Brewers do so often. You know, they get off to maybe a quick lead. They've been really good this year, as you know, scoring first inning runs. They're one of the best teams in baseball, first inning. The problem is they settle in and they don't score. This is the team we saw in May and June. But that double play, that rocket, Frelick also committed a bad error in that 4-run 6th inning against Freddy and Uribe, airmailing that ball to home plate. That was a frustration throw right there. I don't know what that was about. So, I mean, there's so many turns and bad bounces that went this way. I mean, even the Longoria snow cone for the double play on Tuesday night. Bases loaded in the 8th inning. Frelick hits the little tapper. And I know some of you wanted Frelick to be pinch hit for there. I didn't want Joey Weimer. Some say let Joey go up there and take one swing. Well, you're just hoping he's going to run into one right there. Just the hope. I'll take my chances with Frelick. Hey, you all got on me when I said if it was up to getting a superstar at the trading deadline, I would be good with trading Frelick. Now you don't want him to bat against a left-hander? Hey, man, if he's going to be a future star, he better be able to bat against left-handers. Okay? So I was okay with Frelick batting in that spot. Okay? Those of you who didn't want to trade him for a superstar at the trading deadline are always told, oh, he's untouchable. You know, I mean, I don't mean to get on some of you guys just when I mentioned that. And those are the same people who are coming back and are saying, well, he should have been pitch hit for Joey Weimer. Have you watched this season and his 209 batting average or whatever it is? No, I'll go with Frelick. And Council's justification there was, well, the left-hander for Arizona, he has trouble throwing to left-handed hitters. That was kind of an odd excuse. How about showing confidence in Frelick there? Anyway, he taps out, and then Adames hits a rocket up the middle. I mean, he made good contact, fielded by Marte, and steps on the bag, and that's that. You know, I'm telling you, when Adames hit that one off the bat, I thought it was up the middle, but they had him played. Frelick, Marte was played over, and he made the play, and that was the inning right there. And they put Grutters on second and third with 2 outs, and then Contreras strikes out to end the game. But, yeah, some opportunities, some chances. But you know what? You make your own breaks. Yeah. People are going to say, well, you know, in Wisconsin, we always get the bad breaks with our sports teams. We always have bad things happen to us. Well, you know what? The Milwaukee Bucks were able to break that door down. Now, they've had some tough outs the last couple of years, but still, they broke it down. And I still think the Milwaukee Brewers, even though the economics are stacked up against them in Major League Baseball, and I don't want to get started on that right now, but frustrating. We still got a lot to get to on this podcast. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. This show is brought to you in part by Sleeper. Sleeper, another one of our great sponsors here. They're all great. Sleeper, among those. Sleeper, daily fantasy baseball playoffs. You can play daily fantasy baseball. It's never been more exciting right now. Although I didn't see how the Philadelphia series, and I know they're up 3-0, but three of the 4 games, at least, I think Philadelphia probably hung on to beat Miami. Went 2 games. So, very odd. But still, the postseason is going to be great. Divisional, even without the Brewers. The LCS and the World Series, I enjoy watching them all. I really do. And daily fantasy baseball, that's your thing. It's never been more exciting than it is now. Pick more or less with stats, with stars like home runs, hits, strikeouts, triples, doubles, up to 100 times payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right, and you could win big. Here's what you need to do. Use the promo code LOCKEDON. You'll get a $100 match with your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms for details. You see the logo right on my YouTube page right there. See that match code right there. Follow that, and you're going to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. You all love playing fantasy baseball or fantasy football, basketball, or whatever. Sleeper is the way to go. Sleeper. Again, use that promo code LOCKEDON. You get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions applied. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you, everybody. Google, Spotify, Apple. You've been following me all year. Continue to follow me in the off season here, because we're barely a couple of hours into the off season, but there's going to be some action. There's going to be some Craig Counsell news. I just have it in my gut. There's going to be some Craig Counsell news. After the game, I felt like he took a lot. I felt he showed more disappointment over some regular season losses than more so tonight. And maybe I'm just reading into it. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he praised the group and all that. He talked about, this is great group here and all that. Like it was a graduating class at Marquette or Wisconsin. Oh, this great group. They did some good things together. Like that group is disappearing. Well, some of the guys are, but I thought a few odd things at that post game press conference. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We come back. We got to talk more about the Brewers. There's several things. The starters failed. The clutch hitting failed again. Where are we going from here? A few other things as well. We're coming right back. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. All right, welcome back. Chuck Freeman here. Good to have you along here. Craig Counsell just 7-12 in postseason play. The Brewers have lost 9 of their last 10 postseason games. I told you earlier in the podcast how all these playoff series seem to end at home. They've lost 9 of their last 10. They haven't won a playoff game since 2018 when they beat the Dodgers. 2018, they won, of course, the playoff series. They won the same year. They won in Colorado when they swept the Rockies. They won Game 3 there in the divisional series. But the NL Central in general just been brutal. Since 2019, the NL Central teams have lost 20 of their last 22 playoff games. The Brewers have played a large part in that. 2019 is the last time a team from the NL Central won a playoff series. But since then, the divisional teams in the postseason in the NL Central, how bad this division is 2-20. I haven't talked how bad this division is. I haven't been like that for a while because, the division picked it up. The Brewers did. They finished, 22 games over the 500 mark. That's a legit division champion right there. But, most of the division was meandering a couple of games over the 500 mark for most of the years. But, Craig Counsell after the game said it was a great team. And I think he's talking more or less about the chemistry because it's not a great makeup offensively. The 2 additions that you picked up at the trading deadline, your offense was so bad, you had to put Santana and Canna in the 3-4 spot in the postseason. Where would you have been if you'd not made those moves? Who is batting 3rd and 4th on this team? Adames, you're going to continue to run him out there? I thought Adames was going to have himself a series. I thought he was going to put the team on his back. Yelich actually went out in a blaze. 2 singles and a double. How about that bunt single he laid down? Trying something unconventional. Seeing the third baseman playing back, and he drops down that base hit. And the crowd was erupting. And then Contreras goes oppo with a base hit. And the line is starting to move, but could not capitalize. I really thought in that 8th inning, that was it. I had thoughts of maybe Santana going yard ski there and tying the game up, but he ended up striking out. But and I don't think we'll see him back next year. We won't see Josh Donaldson back. Some guys in this lineup we will not see. After the game, I was in both locker rooms. Yeah, I had to go to the visiting locker room because I do work for AP Radio as well. So that means I got to cover both locker rooms, and it's painful going into the visiting locker room to interview other players, champagne flying around, wishing it was your team. So I got home. As my hair is kind of weird tonight because it dried off. It was all like straw because of all that champagne. You can't miss it. You try to avoid the champagne, but it just gets sprayed everywhere. And again, it's disappointing because it's not our team celebrating. But Burnes back in the Brewer clubhouse, and the Brewer clubhouse after the game was very quiet, like it should be. You know, there's never a jovial mood in a major league clubhouse after a loss anyway. And guys were very emotional. Freddy, very emotional. Corbin Burnes blamed himself, took ownership, said it starts with me. I lost game one. I'm the ace in this team. I should have went out there and did a better job. He gave up 3 home runs. Yeah, you like that he took ownership of this team. And some of you want him traded in the offseason, and that might be the case. Because let's face it, they're not paying Burnes. They're not paying him $200-300 million. They're not doing that. They're not going down that road. I think Burnes, he wasn't going to be traded during the season this year, but I think he'll be traded off season. That'll be. I'd go to the bank on that one. Craig Counsell's future. At first, I thought he was coming back. I really did. But the more I was around here in the postseason, down there at AmFam Field, around things, I have a feeling he's not coming back. That's just my hunch. That's just I had the hunch about Woodruff not being able to pitch again. That injury was worse. That was an injury that was happening there last Saturday. And I just got this hunch with Counsell. Nothing concrete, but just my hunch is that he's not coming back. How about the fans booing Jesse Winker? Hey, you know what? I'm with the fans here. He sent Jesse Winker up to the plate. And he bounced out the first, but I don't remember the last time a hometown Brewer, a Brewer was booed in front of his hometown while going to bat. He stepped out of the dugout, and as he was walking to home plate, the pinch hit, fans booed him. I was stunned at that. But that's Brewers fans' frustration, and I get it. You don't have to apologize for that, but I was just, then after he bounced up, but what if he had a home run there? What if he had gone yard there? Those boos would have turned to cheers real quick. I thought it was in Philadelphia the way he was getting booed walking at home plate. I mean, because the Phillies and the people in Philadelphia do that to their teams. John Heyman, these national guys just can't wait to just jump on Craig Counsell. Oh, now John Heyman. Now with the Brewers losing, that means the managerial position just got interesting. I mean, the bodies are barely dead, and people are already pouncing on Craig Counsell. I didn't want to see that. In fact, I blocked him on Twitter. I defriended it. I didn't want to see John Heyman. I didn't want to see that stuff anymore. I didn't want to see anything he had to say about Counsell, at least not tonight. But yeah, he said basically it's game on for Craig Counsell now that the Brewers ended. These national guys just wait for the bodies to be dead with our sports teams here in Wisconsin. They just love it. So they can just come on and try to pick Giannis and pick Craig Counsell and, Aaron Rodgers. Where is he going? Oh, no, I'm not going to get started. I don't even want to get started on it. Disappointing to say the least. I'm all over the map on this show. Sorry about that. I'm all over the map, but there's a lot of things to unpack tonight. There is. And like I said, I could do this for 4 hours right now. I could probably do a 4-hour show rambling on and things that just irritated me after this series. But we only have 30 minutes. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. I'm going to rant a little bit more here on things. All right, Locked On Brewer fans, you've heard us talk about the new app just for sports fans called Bunches. Bunches is a new social network built for sports fans. No politics, no doom and gloom, just sports. They're recently released a new scoreboard feature, lets you check the live scores in the app, chat about live games as they happen. Really, really cool app. Check this out on Bunches. You can chat about the Brewers, join the Locked On Bunch by clicking the link in the show notes, and go to the Apple Store. Go to the Apple Store. The App Store there will tell you all about it. Download Bunches today. It's a free app where sports fans can chat. Locked On MLB group. The chat is on for you guys. Bunches. Go there now. Connect with baseball fans. Chat with your favorite team. Keep up with the latest MLB news. Chat about us. Tell a personal story. Tell about your experience. Locked On MLB Bunch. It's again, we got our own place there, but you got to download the Bunches app today. And when you do, our friends at Bunches have featured a Locked On MLB Bunch in the Discover tab. You can just click the link on in the description, show notes, and show the Locked On MLB Bunch community today. That show notes right in the description of both where you download our app or where you download our episodes on YouTube and wherever you get your audio podcast of this. But Bunches, that's a great free app. Growing, it is a new free app for sports fans where you can talk, a social network built for sports fans, nothing else but talking about your team, our team, the Milwaukee Brewers. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thank you, everydayers, for joining me every day here on Locked On Brewers. I really appreciate it. We've really grown this channel, and we're going to continue to talk Brewers. Hey, the season might be over, but we're already going to start ramping up to next season already because this team's got some work to do. There's going to be some changes. There's going to be some news. This baseball, it's a 12 months a year thing, Major League Baseball. And we're going to be talking it next couple of weeks. We're going to be talking Brewer baseball with you all day, all weekend, all winter long. Winter meetings, we'll have news. Anytime a story breaks, we'll have it. We'll be talking about it here on Locked On Brewers. Also, go to YouTube, our YouTube page. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe, hit the bell, and that'll alert you every time we drop an episode. Yeah, I feel for the Brewer fans tonight, and I'm one of them. I don't feel sorry for myself, but you see this wall. If you're seeing me on YouTube, you see this wall. This is what I call the wall of disappointment, because every one of these programs and from all these major things that the Milwaukee Brewers have been in all the years, it all eventually ended in disappointment. It always ended at a loss for the Milwaukee Brewers, and this year was no exception. So I'll be adding my my program and my press pass to this wall of gloom of Milwaukee Brewers. So, yeah, I thought and I said on the podcast yesterday, I thought they'd bounce back and they would send it to Thursday. And after the first inning, I thought, okay, here we go. It's game on for Thursday. Who's pitching? Scored 2 runs in the first inning. Shouldn't have went there. I was getting my hopes up. Thought, oh, man, they're going to get Gallen out. 31 pitches here in the first inning. Guy sticks around for 5 more innings, ends up with 100 pitches. And the Brewers threatened against the bullpen, just couldn't knock the door down. But one of many playoff failures. We're stacking them up. We're stacking up the Brewer failures. No doubt about it. And it gets frustrating. It's disappointing. But man alive, I'm looking at these home playoff losses. I scroll right down there, and it's just painful to see. The guy I thought was going to make something happen when Adames was up with the bases loaded against the left-hander in the 8th inning with 2 outs. I thought he was going to go Grandy there. Instead, first pitch crushes one up the middle. First or second pitch crushes one, and Marte had him played perfectly. And then the Brewers had the tying run on at the plate with Contreras in the bottom of the 9th inning. Couldn't get it in, but so many other opportunities. You know, again, the pitcher with runners on base, the double play ball. Frelick hits that 1-6-3 double play. Gallen comes off the fist pump, and I thought, oh, wow, we just blew another opportunity right there. I hope that doesn't come back to haunt us. That is a group that never gives up. They Arizona in both games, That I thought, that double play ball by Frelick and Gallen walking off the mound, pumping his fist, I thought that got the team going. The night before, the home run, the 2-run blast by Corbin, I thought that got them going too, because they're down 3-0. And then they hit a 2-run blast. Then Marte hits the solo blast, and it's a 3-3 game. But I just thought that Arizona dugout, they were flat early in the game after the Brewers got to him, but there was a couple of things that happened where it just changed the whole mood of the Arizona dugout. That 1-6-3 double play by Frelick, I looked in the dugout after Gallen made that play, that rocket coming back the middle, and it was electrifying. Those guys coming back to the dugout, and I thought, oh boy, here we go. Man, it ended tonight, and it is so frustrating, guys, to see the season end. Another playoff disappointment. And, I'm not saying they would have beat the Dodgers, but I just wanted to have the opportunity because the Brewers were again favored in this series. 2019, they were favored again that wild card playoff game. 2021, the Braves might have been a slight favorite there. Slight favored. But this series, the Brewers were like a 170, 200 favorite at one point. At one point, I looked at the live line. When they got up 2-0, they were at minus 714 in the game. So 2 nights in a row, when they were up 3-0 with Burnes on the hill, the live line was minus 1,000. And that's 1,000 to win 100. Tonight, it got to 714 with a 2-0 lead. And the Brewers had guys on base. I think that was before the Frelick double play. It was minus 714. And you end up losing both games. Oh, we got still plenty of things to get to, guys. We're going to have guests here in the offseason. Talk to Vinny Rattino at the game Tuesday night. He's going to come on our podcast next week. And the Brewers got some work to do. We have some work to do here on Locked On Brewers. Talking about the offseason. And the first thing is, what is Craig Counsell's next move? Are we going to be seeing a press conference next week announcing that, well, Craig is not re-signing because he's not going to resign because he's not under contract anymore. Season's over. He's not under contract. So he's a free agent. And we'll see if the New York Mets come calling. I hope not. I want Counsell as my manager, but I'll tell you what, that 7-12 postseason, why has Craig been such a great regular season manager, but he's lost 9 of his last 10 playoff games? That's something we're going to address on Locked On Brewers coming up here in the next week. We'll talk about that. Maybe tomorrow. Chuck Friedman, that's going to do it. Hey, everybody, we're going to kick it into off-season gear. We got a lot to talk about with this team. We got to follow it. We're going to follow it. We're going to follow it. We're going to cover it like a glove. And we're going to be here every day. Chuck Friedman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Man, I'm disappointed. We lost, series over, and 2 heartbreaking losses. And now it's on to the postseason. 92 wins, and once again, nothing to show for a division championship. Talk to you tomorrow, everybody.